So, as Microsoft was pushing to PC as the biggest growth sector for them, it's clear they're pushing over to the Far East in terms of trying to get Xbox to be successful over in the Far East is just not working. And the one entry that they did have, Tango Gameworks, well, we all saw what happened to that one. That pretty much just went down the drain as they decided to offshore it, and well, the rest is history. But China has been blowing up, not literally but metaphorically, in terms of their gaming community and their industry, and they have been delivering really good games back after back, from Wukong to Wuchang. I know the names may sound similar, but they're all kind of like Souls games at the moment. But you do also have other games that are coming along from China that are really high profile. And obviously Microsoft has seen the benefits of this. Sony has already heavily invested into the Chinese gaming sector and has already solidified their position. But Microsoft decided to take the approach of, we are Microsoft, let them come to us, and then realize that, well, no one is going to come until you go to them. So now Microsoft is hiring a gaming China business development lead. Hopefully they won't get rid of this person within 2 weeks of them hiring them, but here's what it might mean for the future of Xbox, and this article is by Adam Hale. So we're just going to quickly go through this article and just break it down. Microsoft eyes China's booming 50 billion gaming market with a new Xbox business development push. And this is smart because China is a very, very big market at the moment. It is growing. You've got the gacha universe over there, which is just completely and utterly exploded with the likes of Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, and Zone Zero. And you've got a bunch of others coming like Ananta. You've got NTE. You've got Honkai Star Rail, Honkai Nexus. You've got Azure Promilia, and you've got the MMO that's now coming from CN, I think, called Blue Protocol. And of course, you've even got Enfield, right? So there's loads of games coming out, and the push that they're having in China to evolve their gaming landscape is massive. And they're trying to have a real footprint within the industry, and they're trying to show their excellence by producing excellent graphics. Obviously, there's some rocky roads to go there, but they're making great strides, and not investing and trying to secure some of those games for your platform is a massive detriment and a huge loss to your platform's gaming community. And obviously Microsoft now has realized after a year or two that this probably needs to now be looked at. Now obviously some people like myself are going to say that they're quite late to the game, but it's never too late, obviously. But Microsoft really needs to get their head out of their asses and start doing stuff that actually is on time. I know that's ironic coming from me, considering I can never get to my streams on time, but this is a multi-trillion-dollar company we're talking about. They should see the market trends, and they should be reacting, retroactively to try and get to those those trends before their competitors do. But they're not really doing that. The article reads, you might not know that China is one of the biggest gaming markets in the world, at least if you've been living under a rock. It's expected to generate over 50 billion in revenue in 2025 alone, from an estimated 670 to 720 million players. To put that into perspective, the United States has around 200 million players and is expected to bring in 49 billion. The revenue is similar, but China has far more players, making it an untapped market with massive potential. Now, a lot of these people in China do play mobile games, gacha games, and a huge segment of this number is probably related to mobile. And Microsoft seems to agree, spotted by Hazardor Gaming on X, formerly Twitter. A new position just opened up at Xbox. It's not the first time Microsoft has tried to ramp things up in China, and it likely won't be the last, it reads. In 2014, it became the first foreign company to release a game console in the region with Xbox One. And I think this is the mistake Microsoft has. Microsoft is never going to break into the Far East. No matter what they do, no matter how much they try, they're just not going to do it. Why? Because they simply don't have the desire to do it. They don't have the push, they don't have the motivation, and they don't have the willpower to try and break into the Far East. It's really that simple. I don't for a second believe that these consoles and devices won't be popular over in the Far East. If they get the right games, the right exclusives, and the right titles, these consoles will sell, but it requires investment. It requires someone at the helm that's basically going to make these deals, these exclusive deals, taking these games off other platforms and making it solely available on the Xbox platform. They would sell. Can you imagine if Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, Monster Hunter was exclusive to the Xbox platform only? Even if it was only in Japan and China, it was exclusive to that platform only. This console would sell. It's really that simple. If you have the right exclusive games that makes the games exclusively on your platform, that is how you're going to do it. But Microsoft has never really had that desire to really push ahead. Instead, they've been trying to push the console with the Xbox One, as you can see here, in 2014, and did absolutely nothing. And then later on, they pushed their other consoles into the region and really did nothing to kind of try and promote the Far Eastern companies and gaming. They just kind of left it there to kind of fester and hope that one day it's going to succeed. That's really not the way you do it. After a 14-year ban on consoles was partially lifted, Xbox struggled, though it faced a limited game library, high prices, and strong competition from local brands, which left it as more of a niche platform in China. Not just China though, Japan is also part of this. Microsoft simply just doesn't have the push or the drive to be able to win over the fans over there because they just don't have the exclusive games. China also enforces strict government controls on gaming. Every game must be reviewed and approved before release, often needing to meet specific content requirements. These include no skeletons, no explicit violence, and all menus and text being fully translated into simplified Chinese. This creates a high barrier to entry, sometimes even requiring major overhauls of games. Final Fantasy 15 was one of those games that did have to take the major overhaul, and the game, suffered greatly for it. In August 25, China approved 160 new video games for release, the highest monthly total since September 2020, bringing the number of approved games this year to over 1,100 so far. Xbox isn't alone in trying to crack China. Nintendo launched the Nintendo Switch there in 2019 through a partnership with Tencent, though it still has a limited library in the region. Sony also entered China around the same time as the Xbox One via Sony, facing similar challenges, but its platforms remain more popular than Xbox because they put the effort in to actually try and, infiltrate that market. Microsoft just didn't do that. What the gaming China business development lead role involves. This new role will work closely with studios and publishers in China, building trust and helping grow Xbox's presence in the region. The problem with this is Sony already has like a year or 2 years, maybe more, of a head start. Microsoft going in now, this isn't going to be something that's going to, have a turnaround overnight. This is going to be a long, painful process that's going to take a long time. Microsoft isn't going to see, or the community in general is not going to see the fruits of this labor probably during this generation at all. The next generation Xbox is probably when we're going to see any form of benefit coming from this. So don't expect anything in the short term. It's a full-time position focused on bridging the gap between Microsoft and its partners. That includes supporting Idea Xbox, a program that helps smaller studios and independent developers publish their games on Xbox. Now, we've already seen Shuhei Yoshida, who used to be in charge of the indie division at PlayStation, going around different studios, whether it's in Japan, Korea, China, trying to find those gems, and like they found Stellar Blade, and make that exclusive. Microsoft needs to do something similar to that if they want the platform to succeed there, but I don't believe that that's the aim anymore. I think the aim right now is to bring the games from China to the West, and I think that's the right approach. Doing it that way, you can speed up the process. They need to kind of give up with the approach of trying to infiltrate the Far East and instead get the Far East to start releasing their games over on Xbox. That's probably going to be a much quicker turnaround. The role will also handle discussions with agreements with game companies to bring their titles to Windows, Xbox, and Game Pass. This is exactly what I was saying, right? That's exactly what I mean. Once deals are decided, this will coordinate with different teams across Microsoft to plan and execute them effectively. Alongside that, the role will be involved in marketing, forecasting, and other planning work, essentially helping make sure every partnership runs smoothly from start to finish. I mean, at the end of the day, the sole purpose of this is to get those games from China and bring them to Xbox, console, PC, and Game Pass. That's it. But the focus isn't to infiltrate China with their Xbox platform. It's completely changed now. It looks like they've given up with that for good, and I think that's the positive thing. That's the right approach at this point, because they're just never going to do it. They don't have the commitment. So getting those games and those studios to release their games on the Xbox platform in the West, whether it's for Game Pass, PC, or console, is the right approach. What this could mean for players worldwide. For gamers on Xbox and Windows, this could mean seeing more games from China launch on Xbox, bringing even more variety to players. Chinese studios are growing fast. Not long ago, a game like Black Myth: Wukong would have been unheard of, yet it's quickly become China's first AAA title to make a major impact. I think it sold over 20 or 30 million. That's crazy. Instead of focusing only on releasing its own games in China, Microsoft is now looking to bring Chinese talent to Xbox. It's a smart approach that could help strengthen Xbox's global reach. And so the idea here is, by bringing those talents into the Microsoft studio, creates a dialogue between them. It opens that conversation, it begins to build that bond, that trust, and so studios become more endearing, more trusting of Microsoft, and start to work closer with Microsoft in getting those games over to the platform. But it also just makes communication so much easier, and so it removes that barrier of entry completely. Instead of focusing, this might also mean more Chinese developed games joining Xbox Game Pass and more opportunities for smaller studios through Idea Xbox. It could give players access to games they might not have experienced otherwise, which is something worth celebrating. As Xbox fans have come to appreciate, more people being able to enjoy games is better for the industry. It's something PlayStation fans may also come to value, as Sony appears to be following Microsoft in exploring more third-party releases. And that's the article right there by Adam Hales. It's a good article, really well written. I think the approach from Microsoft is definitely the right one. Instead of trying to now, take over a segment of the market, they're just saying, you know what, we're not going to do that. And I think they should do the same with Korea, the same thing with Japan, all of the East, and basically say, right, we're no longer interested in this side of approach. We will still have a presence in these countries, but our main aim right now is to make sure those games are coming to the platform, be it at retail price or on Game Pass. And obviously this isn't going to be a thing that, a process that happens overnight. It's going to take a number of months, maybe years. So don't expect any change anytime soon, but it's good that they finally decided to jump on the bandwagon and say, hey, look, there's a market there that's untapped. They've already realized that that was a situation with PC, and that's why they went gung-ho with PC. But now they're seeing another approach, and hopefully that will work out good for them and good for gamers. Ultimately, that's what we care about as gamers, playing good games. So here's to many more good games coming from the Far East. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you believe Microsoft should try to get a foothold in the Far East, whether it's China, Japan, Korea? Or do you feel like the approach that they're doing now is probably the better approach, where yes, they'll probably have a small presence in those countries, but trying to get those games and bring them to the West and have them released on the platform at all is the better option? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Let's have that discussion. And if you've enjoyed the video, do hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell to stay up to date with all content I release, and don't forget to hype a new YouTube feature. You can do that 3 times a week. This video clearly should be deserving of your hype. Right, folks, that's it. I'll see you in the next one, and I'll see you tonight over at the stream. Remain legend.